consistency is the key to everything, staying focused, staying consistent, and recognizing that every choice you make, there is a cost on the other side, right? It may not be visible to you, but every decision you make, the time you're going to go invest doing this activity is the time you're not spending on this activity.
Good morning. Welcome to another Motivational Monday. My name is Matthew Hodge, Executive Vice President here at LPT Realty. I'm joining you from Georgia today. I'm going to bring in Robert Palmer, founder and CEO, who is joining us from Montana. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Hey, man, good. We
Good.
overloaded capacity on the Zoom this morning. I love it.
Yeah, we had to hit that emergency bump up.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So I'm excited to be with you guys this morning. Our first Motivational Monday of 2026. We've got some mindset and some market updates that we want to do. At the beginning of each year, it's always important for us to really think about, and reflect about last year and what works and, what we want to kind of double down on in going forward. And while you can do that at any point of any month, at any day, at any time, there's something about being at the beginning of the year that just gives you that extra energy. I think everyone is at this reflection point, and it just really is a great time to really think about what is serving us well and what is not. So, with that being said, Rob, before we kind of jump to that, I want to see how was your New Year's and how's your time been in the mountains?
It's been good, man. I would say relaxing, but I've been working way too much. A lot of year-end initiatives we were trying to get wrapped up. Just a lot of stuff going on. But New Year's was good. We watched the 10 o'clock ball drop, and then we woke up for the midnight, local time Montana ball drop. But yeah, it was good. Couple good days on the slopes. Not as much as I'd like, but we're gonna get out there. But hey, we're gearing up. 2026 is gonna be a monster year for LPT, and I'm excited, man. Yeah, we continue to see, again, kind of economic news moving the way we need. A couple of new things happening internationally, globally, that we're going to see how they impact rates. But so far, I think things are lining up for 2026, and that's good news.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, I've heard that there's not a lot of snow this time this year. Typically there is, and I guess like there's certain mountains that are not getting enough snow. Are you being affected by that there or?
Yeah, we have a ton. It's snowing really heavy right now. We've got great conditions out here, so
Okay.
this is one of those times where Montana won. The
Nice.
Colorado folks and some of the other ski resorts are struggling, but Montana's winning right now. So
Nice.
we've got, and it's dumping pretty good right now. So
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so you kind of alluded to some of those macro things. Where do you want to start? Do we want to kind of start thinking about, what we want to do in 2026? We want to set the environment for, what we believe is happening at, kind of maybe the bigger macro level that could impact some of the environments that, people would use to make decisions around real estate?
obviously kind of a quiet week, right? There hasn't been a lot. I mean, except for the stuff going on in Venezuela, pretty quiet week. And again, I don't think we understand well enough yet how that's going to impact mortgage rates for me to give any indication. There's different schools of thought on whether that's going to really help or hurt where we're trying to get from a mortgage rate standpoint. And so while economic data is there, I really don't want to focus on that today. I'd like to take the first Monday of the new year of 2026, Boomsday year, Booms year. I got to figure out what we're going to call the whole year. 'Cause Boomsday is like Booms year for 2026. But one of the things I really want to talk about today, and we talk about this a lot internally, is focus. And I think as we move into a new year, it's really easy to lose focus and to get distracted. And so what I want to spend today talking about is the importance of keeping that focus and the importance of maybe avoiding some of the distractions, the shiny objects that can get in our way. And I really want to talk about the psychological effect, or like the why as entrepreneurs we find ourselves easy to distract, because it's part of the personality type. The same personality type that can wake up every day basically unemployed and have to go out there and find the next deal and live this crazy life that we all live together, does make us more susceptible to distractions. And so what I want to talk about is some of the things that I use in my life to stay focused, and again, really understanding why maybe some of the things we get distracted by seem better than they actually are. And so one of the reasons I think right now we are particularly susceptible to distraction is it's been a tough real estate market, right? We've had to work really hard for the last 4 years to get any kind of decent results, much harder than we had to work in 2020 and 2021 without as much results. And so we know right now that real estate is hard. And as much as we want to believe it's going to get easier, and I believe it's going to get easier, and I believe we're right there, we're also, again, as humans, like we've conditioned ourselves now to the idea that, hey, real estate is a lot harder than maybe what I thought it was going to be, or maybe a lot harder than what it was the first X years of my career if I've been in the game for a long time. And so what we don't know is the thing that we're going to get distracted by. We don't actually know whether that's hard or easy. Right? We don't know if it's harder or easier to go do this other thing. What we do know is that real estate has been really hard. And what I'll tell you is the people who want you to get distracted and go do the other thing, they're going to paint a picture for all of us as entrepreneurs that their thing is easy and their thing is great and their thing is the magic diet pill. Their thing is going to put a bunch of money in our pocket. And we find ourselves frustrated right now because our thing, real estate, remember, we're real estate first here at LPT. Our thing, real estate, has been hard. There is no disputing that. Now, we have a lot of amazing agents that are having success regardless of a hard market, but it's still a hard market. And so I think what happens is people come along with these new opportunities. People love to try to get real estate agents to engage in new opportunities. And again, paint them as easier, and look, and I'll take a former example. It's like you go back in time, some of the early cloud brokerages, like that magic pill was recruiting, right? Well, hey, real estate's hard, quit wasting your time selling houses, just go recruit another agent, right? And I think now people have kind of realized, like, yes, that is a nice supplement to what you're doing, but that's not easy either. And that's not passive and that's not no work. And, I think we see the same thing with real estate investment, right? Like I think real estate investment is a great supplement to what we're doing. It's a great way to build wealth. But if that's your focus, then you're not focused on your thing over here, which is real estate. And again, I think while we understand the problems of real estate, if you haven't owned a bunch of properties yet, there's problems there too, right? Like, while yes, it is more passive than running a 9 to 5, I can promise you, as someone who owns a lot of property from a value standpoint, there is very little passive about it, right? There's always headaches, there's always problems. And so what I think we have to remember is, while we understand the troubles and the problems with our main thing, right, real estate first, it's really easy to get distracted by the idea that this other thing over here, this other game we could go play, is magical or easier, or again, is going to be the silver bullet, not going to have to work, everything's passive, which all sounds great until you get in there and realize that that really doesn't exist. There's very few things in this world that don't require hard work. And that's why we try to stay focused on doing the hard work, doing the right things. And I continue to believe that real estate is absolutely one of the best vehicles. Real estate sales, like being a real estate agent, right? Your ability to help consumers buy and sell real estate, the ability to build a real estate team, build the business as big as you want, is one of the best vehicles to build wealth. Now, we can supplement that by owning properties ourselves. We can supplement that by, bringing agents into a brokerage like LPT, where we can earn, recurring revenue on their success here. But real estate has to be the vehicle, the sale, that retail sale of real estate has to be the thing we focus on. And there's so many people that want to drag us in other directions. And the people I see having the most success right now in this market are the one that blinders on, staying focused on what they know to be that right vehicle to win, which is what we're all here to do at LPT. It's what we have listing power tools for. It's why we get on Motivation Monday, staying focused and staying consistent. And, Matt, I know that's one of the things I really respect about you. Like, we've known each other for a long time. You've always had a really good ability to stay focused and eye on the prize and be purposeful with your time. And, again, I see a lot of folks maybe trying to get drawn in other directions right now because of this elongated drought period that we've had in real estate.
Yeah, I mean, so to kind of unpack some of the things that you said or elaborate a little bit further on them, particularly in our industry, there are so many, I guess, tools that you could use to do your business. And there's no shortage of vendors trying to convince you that they've got that magic pill to do that thing that you need. And so it puts us in an industry where we're constantly having these distractions in front of us, and not necessarily something that couldn't benefit your business. Like, so many things that could benefit your business that maybe you water yourself down a little too much. Maybe you try to do a little too much instead of sticking with the basics, and then maybe adding one thing at a time. Like maybe a new CRM product will come out, or a new automation, or a new whatever it is. It's, again, something that's great for your business, but if you try to implement too much, you can find yourself pretty distracted. And then I guess it's similar to the way that you would think about some of those other benefits, like building having a downline. Like, there's certainly nothing passive about that. Yes, you can get it to a place where it's really automated, but if you that's what you want to make a big focus of yours, you're going to have to treat it just like a separate business by providing support and providing the infrastructure around that. And you can pick and choose how much of a priority you want. I'm not saying that you should do that more or less, but I am saying that it is something that if you are want to make a business, it is going to be something you have to put more energy into. And again, it's all still centered around the transaction. And so going back to Robert's point, that is the most important thing. How can we hone your craft so that you can provide the best experience? You can give the people that you serve the absolute best strategy for them to accomplish their goal, because everything is spun off of that. All your ancillaries, all your downside, your downline, the revenue, all of that is spun off of the real estate transaction. So I think that keeping that at the very top, to your point, Robert, is really important, particularly in an industry where we're starting to see change. We're starting to see AI come in. You're starting to see all these people who want to use these new benefits, and they're going to try to distract you with how important it is. Just make sure that you're keeping focused on what's most important, and that's that real estate transaction and serving our clients at the absolute highest level. And so, Robert, with you being, at the head of the helm, thinking about all the tools that we want to provide for agents and experience, how does that impact you from a CEO perspective, thinking about the tools you want to bring inside of LPT and how to support our agents?
Like, I think, the commitment that we made to real estate first and agent choice, like those two guiding principles, like really they knock down so much nonsense really quickly. Like if this is real estate first, like, is this going to help agents, help more consumers buy and sell real estate? No. Okay, then that's not going to be part of our primary mission. Agent choice, is this supporting the idea that agents get to choose whether they want to be a part of this tool or that tool or this program? And yeah, I think those two principles that we came up with early on. I mean, a year, probably more than a year before we actually launched LPT, we kind of made that decision that, hey, this is who we're going to be, and this is what we're going to focus on, because it's really easy to get distracted, and it's easy to get distracted, at our level too. I mean, we've seen brokerages make these mistakes. We've seen brokerages try to get so focused on selling, adjacent products. I mean, there's been brokerages that try to get into health and wellness, and there's been brokerages that, try to get into wealth services. And look, I get these things are important, but at the end of the day, they're only important if they are supplemental to what we're doing. Like, the idea of building wealth is you take your core earnings, what you make from the thing you do and love, real estate, and then you figure out how to use that supplementally, not jump out into a brand new industry and try to do something else. And I think a lot of it comes down to misaligned interests. And, we spent a lot of time in designing LPT, and again, designing our core principles to make sure that our interests are aligned with our agents. And so every decision we make is about that. How do we all win together? How do we win at the highest level together? How do we not become a source of distraction? Because lots of people we get approached all the time, like, hey, sell this thing to your agents and we'll give you a bunch of money, and, go distract them with that thing and we'll give you a bunch of money. And, we stay away from it. Like, we really want to focus on making sure that we're here to win. And I think, again, New Year's first Monday of the New Year's is a great time to reset this, because we are going to come into a year that shifts, but we are coming off of this hard time. And it's like this idea of, like, it's darkest before dawn. And so I think that the time we have to stay the most focused, the time we have to stay the most committed and plugged in is right now, because it has been tough. A lot of people are probably going to look at, hey, my 1099 when I get it in a couple of weeks for 2025 probably wasn't what I wanted it to be for a lot of folks, because the market is tough. And that's that moment when the distractions can suddenly seep in, or the shiny object or the promise of bigger rewards with no work can start to take hold. And so again, I want to take today to really just, tell you guys and encourage you, you are on the right track. You are on the right path. You are in an amazing industry with so much potential and so much upside, and the ability, to have freedom or not have freedom. Like, you decide how hard you want to work. You decide how far you want to take this business. And there's very few businesses like that, where without a lot of capital, without a lot of debt, without a lot of long-term financial risk, you can go build something absolutely amazing. And that's why I chose to build this company, because I viewed this as the best vehicle for entrepreneurs to build wealth. And again, hear that from me. And so for every person who's going to try to tell you maybe that there's something else, there's something better, there's something new, go do this, go do that, and usually that person has a vested interest in you making that switch. We want to just sit here and focus on what we know works, what we know. All the hard work that we've put in place over the last 3-4 years has been to get to this point, to get to the point where the market turns, to get to the point where all of that pent-up demand is finally going to break loose. And that's what we're here to do. And that's what we're here to stay focused on. And so I think a core part of Motivation Monday, Matt, is retaining that focus, is, hearing from us, somebody today needs to hear this message. Somebody today needs to get kind of refocused and think, you know what, I am in the right rooms. I'm in the right business. I'm playing the right game. I love real estate sales. Let's go win. And that's what we're all here doing. And there are amazing businesses being built on top of LPT right now that center around real estate first. And that makes me really proud as the CEO.
Yeah, that's right. And to your point, early in my career, when you were teaching me about being a geo farmer and using print mail, really at a high level, and that was my first real exposure at that scale. And you were, teaching me how long it was going to take. And I remember that first neighborhood, I could just start with one little neighborhood, and I had to set a year's worth of budget aside because you knew that was how long it was going to take. And then I eventually ended up taking over that neighborhood and like had 80% market share. But to your point, that initial like, hey, it was so easy at that time to feel like it wasn't working. It was so easy to want to change strategies halfway through and not realize that the work was actually, it was working. It was just going to take that time. And so in this market where things take even longer right now, it's easy to feel like I'm doing the right thing by changing strategies because what I'm doing is not working. But it is a product of our environment. That time on market, the time that you have to, provide value to our customers is longer than it probably has ever been. And while we see that probably going in the other direction for 2026, it is something that can definitely distract you when you feel like the strategy is not working. And so I would definitely say continue to do what you're doing, put in the hard work, that the true and proven things, it will come. I also want to note that someone Shelly said in the chat that your beard's getting a little bit longer. And I know that that usually means interest rates are going the opposite direction.
The Fed's been cutting, but mortgage rates have barely been following, and we're definitely not getting the result we want. One of the things I really used to remember we talked about was this idea of people would say, well, I tried direct mail once and it didn't work. Or I tried, TV and radio once when I was crushing it in that game and it didn't work. And what I used to tell people is I've never heard anybody say, hey, I tried direct mail 10 times and it didn't work. Or I tried, door knocking 10 times and it didn't work. Because if
Right.
you try it 10 times, you're going to get through. You're going to bust through the other side. The biggest mistake we all make is quitting too soon. There's that image you'll see on the internet of like the guy with the shovel, like digging underground, and like he walks away inches before he hits the gold. Like that is our business. That is what we face. And whether it's the direct mail example, the door knocking example, or just being in this industry, right? Staying in touch with your sphere of influence, staying in touch with your friends and family who are going to transact real estate in the near future because they've been pushing it as far out as they possibly could. Like you're right there. You've been doing it. And now is the time we have to stay focused. We have to get locked in. And this is the hardest time of year to do it because this is like, everything from like fitness goals, like all these distractions. And again, these are good things. Like I'm not sitting here telling anybody like, don't go get healthy, but just recognize like this is a time of year when distractions pop up. And so make a decision, figure out how to fit it into your life without abandoning the thing that is important, without abandoning the thing you've been working toward. But this is the time of year where it's really easy to get distracted by all kinds of things. And look, I think what the biggest mistake we can make is we run in a direction for a second and then we abandon and we go back. Like whatever you're going to do, if you want to get more fit, that requires consistency. Like you're better off going to the gym one day a week for 52 weeks than 10 days in a row in January and then quitting, right? Consistency is the key to everything. Staying focused, staying consistent, and recognizing that every choice you make, there is a cost on the other side, right? It may not be visible to you, but every decision you make, the time you're going to go invest doing this activity is the time you're not spending on this activity, because we all only have the same number of hours in a day. And at the end of the day, we can push through and we can work harder and we can burn ourselves out. But ultimately, we have to figure out how are we going to consistently do these things. And so as you look to what are we going to add in 2026, what are our New Year's resolutions going to be? I think the real focus is whatever you're going to do, try to be consistent. Like try to make that commitment to, I'm going to be consistent with this. I'm not going to jump into something and flame out. I'm not going to chase something new this year and flame out. I'm going to be consistent with whatever it is. And I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay the course and I'm going to do the hard work and apply that to everything, not just real estate, but also recognize the more of those things you put into your life, the more you get spread thin, right? The more you're going to wake up one day and say, I can't do it all. I can't keep up with it all. I can't be consistent on everything because I've pointed myself in too many different directions. And look, I've been there. I've had those moments. I remember there were days I'd come home to jail and be like, I've taken on too much. Like I can't handle it. Like I've pulled myself into too many directions because I think there's this thought at some point in our life where we're like, we can do it all. we can handle it all. Like we're going to figure it out. We're going to make it work. And you can't, you will ultimately find your breaking point. And one of the things I'll tell you is once you find that breaking point, I think you become a better entrepreneur on the other side because you start to realize and judge and understand the concept of there's only so much I can do. There are only so many things I can give my attention to. I can only be pulled in so many directions. And some of us may have a little bit higher capacity than others. Like you figure that out, but everyone has a breaking point. Everyone has a point where they have taken too much on. And now you got to wake up and you're trying to unwind things. And one of the problems is we can put ourselves into things that are really hard to get out of or really hard to unwind. Like you can't just be like, oh, all right, I don't want to own that quadplex anymore because the renters are a disaster. Like you got to sell it. You got to pay off debt. If you took advantage of tax benefits, you got to repay the depreciation on the recapture. And I've seen people sell investment properties and get no money because it all went to tax bills. Because they had done cost segs. And again, there's no avoiding taxes. There's only delaying taxes. And so you can find yourself in places where you've made commitments that are not easy to get out of. And I think that's really one of the worst feelings as an entrepreneur is when you hit the point and you realize I've taken on too much. Some of the things that I was convinced were going to be passive or require no work are all of a sudden sucking the life out of me and I can't get myself out of them. And the worst time to realize that would be when the boom is hitting, right? The worst time to realize that is when your core business, which has been tough for 4 years, all of a sudden gets really good. And instead you're over here having to deal with this distraction that was sold to you as being this easy, no time thing, but it ends up sucking the life out of you and you can't get out of it because maybe there's debt on it or whatever the commitments are. And so again, this is where we have to find that focus. And unfortunately, like I can sit here and talk to you about it, but until you experience it, I think you're a better entrepreneur once you find that breaking point, you deal with some of the tough times it is to get out of it. But what I want to encourage you to do is do not put yourself in that position in the next 4, 5, 6 months because 2026 is the year of the boom. 2026 is the year of the boom for us as a real estate brokerage, for all of you as amazing agents. And this is our year to win together. And I don't want to see you get stuck in places where, again, a New Year's resolution, the feeling of, well, my real estate business hasn't been taking that many hours. I got plenty extra time.
Yeah.
Only because of the market conditions. That will change.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, it's funny because I've seen so many headlines recently where they're starting to talk about, economic, landscape changing and what that's going to do for real estate. And that's like starting to be all of the headlines. And so I know we've been talking about it. We've been drumming that beat for so long, but, you're starting to see that pop up. And so it's going to be interesting to see that as a consumer starts to hear this message, what does that change? What conversations do we change when we're talking to them about how things are going? And so I'm just so excited for the people who have been a part of Motivational Monday to be able to spread that knowledge and be able to serve them at the highest level. But we do have just a few minutes left. And so we've talked about staying focused, talking about staying focused for longer than what you probably have had to do in the past. I don't know of anything that you can do for 3 months or 5 months that it really makes an impact on your life that works that quickly. So I think it's a great message. But, kind of the first message that we have going into this year, what would you say to our entrepreneurs? Like, I know it's about staying focused and doing the hard things for longer than we have to, but in the last couple of minutes of Motivational Monday, what would you say that to be for 2026? As we head into this year, we want to make it a big year, eliminate the 2025 stuff. Where are we focused?
One, I am proud of everybody on this call, right? Like we have survived. Like we've survived one of the worst real estate sales markets ever. I mean, 4 million annualized home sales now, 2 years in a row. It's crazy. I mean, again, when we launched, for those of you maybe that are new, we launched LPT purposely into the bust. I had this vision of the best time to launch a real estate brokerage and truly know, is it working? Is it fulfilling its mission to partner with our agents? Are we fulfilling our mission to real estate first and to agent choice? Like the best time to do all that was in a bust, right? A time when home sales were going from, wherever we peaked in the mid 6 millions, by some accounts, we got as high as 7 million. All of a sudden we find ourselves coming down the other side. I didn't expect it to last for basically 4 years. We've had 4 years of anemic annual home sales. And look, while home price appreciation has gone up, and that's been good, and it's been positive because it has protected the American consumer, the American homeowner from the troubles we saw in 2008, 2009, coming out of the financial crisis. but it didn't protect us as an industry. 4 million annualized home sales is not enough to go around for the number of real estate agents that we have in this country, and the volume that people are used to doing. And so it's been tough. And so first I want to say I am proud of everybody who is still here. I am proud of everybody who has survived that, because we have seen a lot of agents leave the industry. We've seen a lot of agents give up. Like, there's a lot of agents that are licensed, but they're not on a Zoom right now with their brokerage, on a Monday morning. They're checked out. They had to basically give it up. Again, they may still technically be on the NAR roster, but they've had to check out. They've had to move on. We think some of them will come back as the market gets better. But everybody on this call has remained committed. And I know a lot of folks on this call are not just here one Monday. They're here 2 or 3 Mondays a month, or they're here every Monday in the month. And I want to say I'm proud of you, because that's harder to do when the industry doesn't feel like it's rewarding you for the efforts you're putting out. When it feels like maybe this wasn't the right career move, or maybe real estate isn't what I thought it was cracked up to be. And so I'm very proud of everyone who has stuck with it and not just made the commitment to stay in the game, but to stay fully committed and to be here on a Monday, getting fired up and getting ready, for 2026. As Matt mentioned, we had to raise the limits this morning because people couldn't get in, because we had maxed out the Zoom settings or whatever. So, absolutely amazing to see the number of people that are plugged in and dialed in and staying committed. And I'm proud of you for getting to here. I think that's why I'm so committed to making sure that we don't miss it now. Like, we didn't come through all of this. We didn't come this close to the finish line to get distracted, to give up, to lose focus. And so 2026 is the year of focus. 2026 is about going all in to reap the rewards of all the hard work and all the sacrifices and all of the tough days and months and years that we've had to survive as a family through what has been, again, lowest home sales in lifetimes. I don't know that there's been a worse 4-year period for annualized home sales in my lifetime. I don't think there has. I mean, when 2 of the years are at 30-year lows, I don't know that we've ever had 2 of those back to back before. So, and then when you take into account population is higher, there are more homes in the US now than there were back then. It's even worse than it looks on paper. And so I am proud of you. I want you to be proud of yourself. I want you to look in the mirror and be proud of the fact that you have stuck with it, stuck through it. If you found success in the last 4 years, I want you to be proud of that as well. And we talked about last week, you can measure success by the actions you put out, the activity you put out, not just by the commission checks you see, because you are making those deposits for the future. You're making those deposits in your business, in your sphere, for when this thing turns around, because people can only delay for so long. And I'm telling you, all the data I see, we see a lot of transactions, right? I mean, there are only, I think, 5, maybe 6 brokerages now in the US that see more transactions than LPT does on a monthly basis. Like, we have a really good, lens into what's going on. And then you combine that with my other businesses and the data I can see over there. I can tell you that things are moving in the right direction. Things have been tough, but we're moving in the right direction, where things are starting to shift. Things are starting to come loose. And 2026 is going to be exciting, because the American consumer is running out of the ability to delay and to push forward. And so if we get rates to come down, which I think we will, you're going to see this instant kind of shift. But even without that, you're going to see a slower shift, because people have to make moves. People have to get into the right house. People have to upsize, downsize, move to new neighborhoods. People have kids, kids go to college. Like, life didn't stop just because mortgage rates were terrible. And we're going to see the benefit of that this year. So I'm proud of you. Be proud of yourself. Stay focused. 2026 is our year. 2026 will be the first good year in real estate that LPT and all of us has ever been able to experience as a family. And I'm so excited for it. And I'm excited for the first Motivation Monday of 2026. We have 52 more of these. I guess it depends on exactly how the Mondays fall. Yeah. 52, maybe 53, depending on where it falls. And I'm excited for each and every one of them.
Awesome, man. Well, have a fantastic start to 2026. I know you'll be back in Florida in 4 weeks or so. So enjoy your time there in the mountains. I will be heading back tomorrow. So excited to get back into the office and hit the ground running. It's been a wonderful, wonderful time to kind of disconnect just for a couple of days. But thank you so much for your message, Robert, and for the guidance that you give us, and for sharing and reaching back to all of us, so that we can, achieve our own version of success. Even, corporate members and corporate executives here are all kind of looking towards you and allowing you to guide us. And we're all learning from you. So thank you so much for the guidance that you've given me personally as well over the last decade or so since we've become friends. And, so very, very much appreciate it, and so excited to be on this mission alongside you, helping other entrepreneurs achieve their version of success. So 2026 is going to be amazing. Looking forward to it. We'll continue to do the hard things together, continue to lean on each other, Appreciate you, brother, so much. Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you next Monday.